First thing I'll ask is $50,000 is a lot of money, and it's 12,000 more than where we're at right now. The end number is bigger than your hometown in Florida. How did you arrive at that number?
So when you look at the importance and the impact that a high quality teacher has, the data is very clear, is there's no better outcome for improving student learning than the teacher standing in front of those students each and every single day. So being able to recruit, retain, and recognize teachers was a priority of Governor Sanders. It's going to be a priority of the legislature. It's a priority of our state board. In investing in these base salaries, starting at $50,000 is a big step into saying to our teachers, we value, we want to recognize you, and want you to enter our profession.
But it's such a big jump. I mean, how fiscally is it even possible? I guess I'm asking to go from 38 to 50 in a relatively short amount of time.
So Governor Sanders was very clear when she ran on improving education in the state of Arkansas that she was going to implement bold initiatives. This is a great example of her being bold and saying, we value teachers. And right now in the state of Arkansas, we can move starting teacher salary from 48th in the nation to the top 5. So when you look at why that number is significant, it's because we're going to prioritize getting, retaining, and recognizing high quality educators.
It just seems to get to 4th with states like New Jersey, massive population bases, and to be more than states like Texas and Florida with huge population bases, seems like a big outlay for a smaller state like Arkansas. And I'm just curious how much effort went into getting into that top 5 versus we could have gotten the same recruiting bang for our buck if we'd gone to 45 or 48.
Well, we want to be bold. We want to be innovative. We want to see impact. And moving teacher salary is one of those steps. It also includes making sure that teachers that are above that minimum threshold of $50,000 would receive at least a $2,000 increase, as well as creating an incentive fund for teachers that can be rewarded for having impact. They can apply to receive additional dollars, up to $10,000 a teacher on top of that. The state of Arkansas has invested heavily in improving student learning and improving teacher salaries for the last few legislative sessions in over a decade. This is a commitment to taking that foundation and going even further. So we're currently working with the legislative delegation. We're crunching numbers. We're going through the budgeting process as this is the vision, this is the goal, but together in a collaborative manner, we're going to find a way to make it work.
You mentioned those $10,000 bonuses, or they sound a lot like merit pay. Are they merit pay?
Some may say it's merit pay, some may say it's incentive pay, some may say it's a bonus, but to me it's looking at impact, teachers that have impact on student learning and student growth, and when they can demonstrate that, especially if they're working in a historically low performing school, a school that's been rated or a DNF, or a school or is a teacher that's working in a subject area that's hard to staff. When you look at the critical needs across teachers in schools, especially high need schools across the state, if we can find ways to incentivize, if we can find ways to recognize and reward those teachers by having them have an opportunity to apply for additional hours, we're committed to that.
How much resentment, or how much of a feeling of resentment do you think that might foster among teachers who feel like, I've been doing this for 20 years, what I do for a 3rd grader shouldn't be any more or less lauded than what a science teacher does for an 11th grader, a sophomore, or something like that?
Teachers should be celebrated and recognized for the value that they have. And that celebration comes in many different forms and manners. This base salary allocation, this incentive fund, is just a start. School districts have the ability and flexibility to go above and beyond, and will likely go above and beyond just base minimum expectations. So making sure that all of the teachers are recognized and celebrated for the hard work they do will definitely be a priority of the local school districts as well.
When it comes to celebrating them, there's also accountability, and one of the bits of fine print that we've seen emerging is getting rid of the Fair Dismissal Act. Why does that have to happen?
Well, accountability matters, and when you look at employment decisions, that's typically handled through the principal, the superintendent, local school board level. We have heard from leaders across the state that they may need some help making sure that if they have a teacher that's not meeting the mark, their number one goal is to invest in that teacher and give them the professional development and support that they need. But if they're not able to do that, they're going to have to invest in finding somebody else to stand in front of those students each and every single day.
Moving to choice. From what I've been able to figure out, we're talking 3 years universal choice within the state. This is choice to go to a private, parochial, or religious school. Not choosing districts, right? Just to clear that up, I don't think I've heard anything like that. Like if I live in one part of town, I want to choose to go to another district. That's a whole different ball of wax. Am I right there?
So when we look at this package as a whole, this is a comprehensive package to reform education and build on the foundation that's been laid. At the heart of this package is to improve learning for all students. And when you look at the public schools here in the state of Arkansas, helping them improve on learning through all subject hour areas is the number one priority. When you look at choice options for families, we want the local public school to be the first and best choice. But if they're not, then parents should have access to resources to help them find other educational opportunities that best meets the needs of their family and their students. This is a comprehensive package that primarily is focused. The majority of this package is focused on supporting school districts with resources, supporting training for teachers, making sure that student performance is improving, but also it takes into consideration that parents need options as well.
How much modeling have you done, for lack of a better term, on the education market? Like how many kids in year 1, 2, and 3 are you expecting to seek out these choices? And from there, how much of a lag could there potentially be between there being enough choices to meet that market?
Yeah, so when you look at choice opportunities for families, that comes in many different models. There's choice programs within public schools. There's choice programs in the local zone schools, whether it's through a magnet program, whether it's through an accelerator program, whether they're choosing dual enrollment opportunities. There's choice within virtual options now, and some families have had great success with being able to choose virtual options. Some parents choose homeschool options. Some parents might choose a private school option. As we're looking at implementing and providing more choice opportunities for families, we're prioritizing our most vulnerable learners. In year 1, these are students that are attending DNS schools, that are starting off in schools that are persistently low performing. We're prioritizing those families' needs as we scale in these choice opportunities over the next couple years to make sure that those students' needs are being met. It also takes into consideration students that are struggling learners. They may have a learning disability, they may be a special education student, they may be learning English as a second language, they may come from a homeless situation or family. So these are students that we know could use a little bit extra layers of support. We need extra eyes on them. We're giving the school districts resources and support and making sure they can meet these students' needs, but we're also empowering parents to make sure that they have options available as well.
But for the first time, we're giving them $7,500 thereabouts to make those choices that
right,
they
so,
didn't have before. So
these aren't dollars that are going directly to families. These are dollars that are going to what's referred to as an education freedom account. These accounts will have dollars that are allocated that would have gone to follow that student to make sure they have their needs. These dollars would be put in an account for education-related expense with direct payments going to those choice providers.
So you'll go down to the Bank of Public School or Bank of School District and say, I'm going to go to the Catholic school across town and draw off that account, or how will the mechanics of that work?
So these programs exist. They're already in the state of Arkansas right now. When you look at the Succeed program in the state of Arkansas, there are students that are participating in these choice options. What we're doing is expanding the choice options and making sure that they're available to multiple different styles of learners and needs of families. This isn't new. It's like I said, this package is building on some of the foundation that's been laid, but at a much grander and robust scale.
And certainly in terms of the money available and how many students are now going to be looking at it. Did I read correctly that when you said the students in most need are going to be F-rated schools this first year? So, I mean, right off the bat, there's something like 25 F-rated schools right in Little Rock. That's a significant number, if I understand the.
So, and I want to be clear. This is an optional program. Nobody's being forced to be in this program. This is just another opportunity for families to look at what's available for their child and how they're going to best meet their educational needs. If a private school wants to participate in this program, that's their choice as well. So this is about creating and removing obstacle and barriers. We're not going to let somebody's zip code determine their future. And based on where their home zone school is, if they are historically underserving those students and families, then those families have a right to not be destined to poverty and to be able to have an educational opportunity afforded to them.
Some of the critics of this plan, though, have pointed to studies. I don't know sure how these other programs, how mature they are, but at this point, but have pointed to studies that indications are that often these accounts or vouchers just end up going to people who already have the funds to be in private schools or to be homeschooled. And how will this program be different to avoid that criticism?
I think when we're working with the legislature, we want to make sure that the guardrails are in place to ensure that these programs are going to the students that have been identified that need them the most. And the providers that are providing the educational support for those students are being held accountable to deliver on the expectation that we would want to see those students receive.
There's concern among rural school districts that their choices are already limited, and their options, even within the public schools, aren't there for them. How will I can see Little Rock losing 1,000 kids and losing all of that funding, and it being a hit. But if a similar percentage were to come to a small district, that could be devastating to them financially, budgetarily. How do you make rural districts whole if there is a district that sees a huge rush to take advantage of a choice that's presented?
It's important to remember that this package, this vision that Governor Sanders ran on the LEARNS initiative and is being codified through the legislative process, was about improving learning for all schools. The majority of this initiative is to support exactly that rural school where those families may have limited options, to make sure we're investing in their leaders, investing in their teachers, investing in their curriculum, and supporting them on improving learning. That is the number one focus of this package. If schools are worried about a mass exodus of students, the first thing I would ask that superintendent and principal is, why are families looking for other options? How can we improve the public school? I'm a product of public school systems. I believe in supporting public schools. I feel the public schools should be the number one and first choice. But if there's a mass exodus from the school, then we need to have a hard, serious conversation about why are parents choosing other options.
Two quick little, is it too soon to explain how that transportation fund is going to work? The way it was worded in the flyer, it seemed like there's a lot of fun that could be in just that one little term.
So logistics and transportation, especially in small and rural areas, is a challenge. And staffing bus drivers, the cost of running routes, the cost of fuel, the cost of transportation is a big drain on a lot of school districts' budgets. So there's an innovative grant program where school districts could say, is there other opportunities that we can invest in? Is there maybe ways we can look at maybe different passenger vans or different type of vehicles to provide transportation services in a pilot, innovative manner? And they'll be able to prioritize for some additional dollars, with the priority of those grant dollars going to small and rural districts and really to support elementary and middle school students.
you just came out of this month's board meeting. I don't think charters were on the agenda today or anybody approving a charter, but with the cap removed from charters, which this bill appears to set to do, how easy will it be to open a school in Arkansas, do you sense?
Well, charter schools are public schools, and charter schools are going to be held to the same level of accountability as the traditional public school or the neighborhood zone school. So we're going to make sure if charter schools are coming to different areas or going to start meeting the needs of certain communities and families, they're going to be held to the same expectation that we would hold them to a district school.
I've always gotten the sense that some proposals will go before the authorizing board and they'll be like, yeah, good idea, but just not enough kids there, I think, to meet that need. I saw that happen in a couple of smaller districts that wanted to create like an ag school because they were frankly tired of driving 2 hours out of their day to go to the big district school. Do you think the thought process between, well, we've only got 24 charters or 28 this year or whatever, with that going away, do you think that changes the mindset of the authorizing board?
I think the authorizing board has the task and challenge to implement the state board rules, implement the laws, and make sure that charter schools that are going to come and open up in a neighborhood or a new community have met the conditions and have been able to prove that they can open a sustainable model that will meet the needs of families and students before they would approve that charter school where there's going to be an investment from this state.
Gotcha. We spent a lot of time on E and A, I think. So very quickly on the literacy part.
Excuse me.
You need some water?
No, I'm good.
The lights are warm. Is there a temp agency or an employment agency where you can go out and find 120 reading coaches real quick? How quickly do we get that battalion out in the field?
So when we look at improving literacy, this is a comprehensive approach that starts all the way from birth to preschool to high school and post-secondary attainment. A lot of this investment around literacy is really prioritizing early learning. So when we look at the value of measuring third grade performance, measuring kindergarten readiness, are we hitting the mark in providing the opportunities that we want to see? Are students coming to school in kindergarten ready to learn? And are they at third grade reading at or above grade level? Because in those foundational years, we say that students are learning how to read. And then from fourth grade and beyond, we say they're reading to learn. So this is a comprehensive approach that's really going to invest in making sure teachers have high quality resources and curriculum, that they're trained in the science of reading, and in school districts that have struggling students in that area in their DNS schools to provide reading coaches. We're looking to see up to about 120 that'll be deployed throughout the state. These reading coaches would work side by side with teachers and coaching them. We're also talking about giving parents access to tutoring grants and providing extended learning opportunities outside of the school day. We're putting in the provisions and conditions in place that if a third grader is not at grade level, before they go to fourth grade, we need to make sure that they have had every opportunity to be with a high quality teacher, to have interventions, whether summer learning programs. And if they go to fourth grade, there's some conditions put in place that we're going to monitor that student performance, because we can't let them continue to fall behind. And if there's gaps in their learning, we're going to fill those gaps.
Are those grants available to go to? My father-in-law works with Mathnasium. I know these would be literacy based, but can people go to private school or private tutors with that money?
Yeah, so the intent of these tutoring dollars or tutoring dollars accounts that will be available to families would be for that parent to find the tutoring provider that they think is going to best meet the needs of their child, whether it's through a private company, whether it's with a classroom teacher right there after school staying extra hours. They're going to be able to pick the provider that works best for them.
So it could be like $500 worth of overtime for
classroom teachers.
Gotcha. How will you track that? In Florida, I've read about how the state tested third graders, and then those that weren't at the right level were allowed to not take the test, and I apologize if I'm getting the details of this wrong, and essentially put off taking the standardized test, the NAEP test, to fourth grade. And so you would have older kids taking the test, and Florida's fourth grade testing scores or third grade testing scores were among the highest in the nation. And then there's a precipitous decline as we get through the later testing levels. Will there be a structure like that built into this law that cuts out portions of, with all of these people who are getting this infusion of money to try and get their literacy up to level? How will they be tested, and at what year?
Right. So part of this plan is to take that early learning space from pre-K, K1 and 2, and put together a unified coordinated progress monitoring system where we can measure students' performance and get that snapshot in time with one statewide system. Right now it's very fragmented. Different districts are using different tools. We know we have mobile students. It's hard to compare assessment data from multiple different providers. If we can take that fragmented approach and unify it, then we can monitor student performance and identify schools, teachers, school districts that may be struggling, or find students that I like to think about we should really be focused on who can we accelerate. A lot of times when we look at literacy initiatives, it shouldn't be just about remediation, but it should be about acceleration. And if students are able to demonstrate mastery, we need to start pushing them and create pathways for them to continue to excel.
I think the vocational stuff is, I think a lot of folks are focused right now on young kids and how they are in school. So I'll just, with this dual degree idea, is a kid going to be able to graduate and start welding the next day, or right after graduation? Or?
So when you look at kind of that highway of success that every student has, and we look at this comprehensive package from cradle to career, we know that highway for every student isn't from 12th grade to university. There are a lot of students that may need to come off that highway, but that shouldn't be a permanent rest stop. There needs to be exit ramps and on-ramps to get back on that educational highway. There are students right now that are able to earn credentials of value, and those credentials of value are recognized by local industries that have them the ability to get ready to work. We should be able to recognize that in a high school diploma option, that a student is earning stackable credentials that'll make them marketable. So a student, while they're in high school, they may get certified in welding. They may graduate from high school and get off that education highway and go right to work. But then they say, well, maybe I want to earn some more certificates and have to come back on that educational highway because more advanced credentials in welding or whatever industry they're pursuing could get them to attain higher dollars or different job opportunities. They may do that and say, I think I want to own my own business. I'm out here working. I'm going to get back on the highway and get a degree in business management or entrepreneurship, because now I'm ready to scale these skills that I've learned and apply them in different manners. This is about giving students the ability to be successful in life while getting recognized for the credentials that they can earn along the way.
So basically, go and work as a nursing assistant for a couple of years, realize I want to be an RN, but that's going to take a degree, and not having to go back and finish high school, but already have that high school degree, that be able to apply to nursing school or apply to college to get that.
Yeah, the career high school diploma would look at making sure that students that are earning their core curriculum, so you're still going to have to take your 4 English language arts, your 4 maths, your 3 sciences, but their extra classes that they're earning within their standard diploma, can they be part of a program that is designed for them to go through a multiple course year of study to earn a credential value? So when they complete that program is recognized at the post-secondary level and by local industries, so that makes that student marketable to enter the workforce.
Gotcha. And will it be an opt-in thing, or will they have to declare I'm a dual major in high school, or how will that work?
So this goes back to options. This goes back to parents and students looking for the educational choice options that best meets the needs of their child and family. And different diploma options are going to meet the needs of different students and families in a different manner.
Gotcha. You gave him some notes. I've talked a whole long time. I don't know if there's any more over there that you want to get in. Anything else you wanted to add that I haven't asked you about?
Talk about the CTE students that came to the state board meeting today and how awesome they were.
So February is Career and Technical Education Month, and we're grateful for Governor Sanders for signing the proclamation to announce that. And even at this morning's state board meeting, we had 4 students come and speak to the state board to talk about how participating in a career technical education program, a CTE program in high school, changed their lives. And these students were able to articulate at a very high level the degrees that they're earning, the credentials that they're going to set them up for life, but they were using words like, I'm in a work-based learning program. I'm learning life skills that I need to know to be successful. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my teacher. There was one student who's in high school that started her own business that's now attracting customers in 4 neighboring states and is continuing to grow. So talk about taking what she's learned through an FFA program and a Future Farmers of America's program, a career technical education program, and what she likes to do for fun and turn it into a way of work is why we need to expand these programs.